Welcome to today's video. Today we drive Mosport, and hopefully not.
Bottom gear.
Yeah, tonight on bottom gear. Hopefully we don't break anything.
Jason rolls it at turn 1.
Oh my god. Right here is good. We're good. Fucking axle exploded, dude.
No way, really?
Yeah. Alright, so here's what we got. Transmission is deleted. It's completely gone. It fell out of the car, that's why it sounded like that. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the transmission. There's what happened. Ring and pinion absolutely left the chat. Hang on. All the other gears are fine, first through fifth. Not even a scratch on them. Maybe small amounts of wear on stuff, but that's fifth. That barely gets anything anyway. Input shaft. I thought originally that this part of the case broke out or something because it sounded awful, but it was just a ring gear failure. And if you look closely at this ring gear, I actually have a weld on here because actually this is a machined hub, and I had a ring gear EDM cut because it was an offset ring gear, so I needed it to fit in this gearbox. It was only 445 I had, so this is how I did it. So it might be the cause of the failure, but I welded it, dunked it in sand, made sure it was stress relieved and everything. If anything, the teeth would be softer, not harder. But this kind of failure does happen if you sidestep the clutch in first gear or something like that, like 20 times in a row. I know because I've done it, so that's no good. The case is cracked badly. There's a big hole in it, and then there's another crack down in there. You can kind of see that. So that's the same kind of crack you get, or same set of cracks you get if you sidestep the clutch or something. You can see the damage in there. This half of the case is pretty good. It's just dirty. It's just got bits and pieces everywhere. The magnets holding on to gear teeth. So in general, it's not too bad. I expected complete carnage of every gear. All I'm gonna do is put a new ring gear, a new pinion, and I'm actually gonna reuse all these gears. I'm gonna make this case work, and then we're gonna go back to Mossport and then jump cut to where this transmission's back together. And then the next transmission will be F35 diff, Vigan intermediate shafts, flipping 9.5 inner CVs, all that beautiful stuff. And it might have a 6-speed gear set, maybe. So something that's interesting is when it failed, you could hear it sounded like an engine went or something like that. It like had a really bad vibration to it. What that was is, see this gap here on this side, the pressure plate, and then the gap on this side. And then the gap here, they're all, this whole plate section is offset. These leaves, where is it? That one is completely out of sorts. So I have no idea if the gearbox failed and caused a quick negative torque shock and made this go, or this was ready to go altogether. After the gearbox went, it sounded like there's a huge, it sounded like the flywheel was loose. It was shaking so bad. So it was actually this is offset like a lot. This is offset probably like a 1/4 inch. So it was this. So I have this old spec pressure plate laying around. So I'm gonna end up throwing this in. This is actually the right pressure plate for a cable clutch. Interestingly enough, this actually has, come on, focus. This actually has 3 leaves instead of 2 leaves on that spot. Cases are cleaned up. Case is actually welded. So yeah, I didn't end up replacing it. It wasn't too bad. It was cracked deep in there. It looks nasty, but there was only that crack at the top. So that's welded. Well, I mean, there was only that, and then there was a bunch of small cracks here. I've already checked, it's all sealed up. So that stuff really isn't structural. That's just from the ring gear throwing all the debris everywhere, and then it getting caught in the pinion and just getting spin cycled up in there and cracking everything. So the actual strength is in this part and the plate that attaches it here. So we should be good there. So I'm gonna clean up this mess and then get the new parts in and then get it back into the car. So first half of the case is filled, 405. All the gears are in, everything's cleaned up, looks nice. Shifter forks in. And yeah, we're looking good. So it's 5 a.m. I think. About to pull this gearbox back out. I was test driving, and then clutch pedal just didn't feel right. And then it started clunking kind of heavily, just like sounded like the pressure plate springs or something. And then turned out the pressure plate, the disc. And then it just stopped disengaging. And the cable still has tension, everything does. But just looking through that hole in the case, you can see, or the bell housing, you can see like the actual pressure plate's like 1/4 inch off of the flywheel, so like there's something jammed up in there. I don't know what it is, but I gotta pull that gearbox off because it ain't right. Oh, I found the issue. Clutch disc is fine, although there's marks there, but it turns out the flywheel was just completely loose. I had those red Loctited and everything. They're ARP bolts, they were torqued, but I guess the vibration just made the heads dig into the flywheel to the point where the bolts were loose and they were just falling out. I didn't touch it since I had the gearbox off a couple days ago, so I just suspected them to be fine, but now I know it's something I gotta check all the time. So the reason why the clutch wouldn't disengage is because the bolts were just jammed against the disc right there. I got a thread chasing tap, gonna chase those threads, gonna clean up that face as much as I can. Got some washers for those bolts, and then just gonna send it home with a lot of Loctite. And then trans is coming off after 2 events again, so not too worried this time because I can actually check it out after the fact. Trans is back in. Flywheel is no longer falling off. Clutch disengages. Gear shift okay. But I forgot to mention there's actually a 405 final drive in it now. So it's not the 445, so it is slower now because of the taller gears. Second gear goes to like 140. By the math, third goes to 208 and fourth goes to 275 and fifth to 350. So I'm not even gonna need fifth. But it's back together. I don't have another 445, so 405 it was, which is good. It'll take the stress off the axles. They won't break. So that's great. So we're back and ready to attack.
Caption like when she finds out.
Feels way better. Feels consistent.
So the car had like no boost for that session. Never really ever have that issue, and it turns out the gate was quite seized. So we worked it back and forth with some lubricant because that's all we can do. The ridge goes towards the ring. Yeah. And then. Yeah, it's just the way it goes. Can't figure this stuff out elsewhere, so should be good now. Messed with the gate, still no boost, but it turns out the intake manifold is absolutely split. It's split on the bottom side too. You can actually see it moving. So I'm gonna find a way to fix it.
Is that a spoon?
Yes.
Nice.
So can you pass the spoon?
It's on the floor.
In dinner time?
Yeah, spoon some off of here. Honestly, the best guy to be dealing with this chemical.
Yeah.
Just know how to use every last drop of resin, probably.
Yep.
You should see our toothpaste tube. It's like
Oh, the washer isn't tight yet, that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, go. Keep going. I think it's tight.
Yep.
Every method in the book has been used.
Yeah, just threw the sink at it. No, like it can make this better. It's just like
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Development.
Look how long it took to fail, right? Like I've been running this for over
I
2
know.
years now.
Yeah.
2.5 years. That's what I mean. It's like you literally it takes fucking time
Yeah.
and outings and seat time, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it was after like the first lap, like half a lap, and it let go before it even got to the straight.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Jesus though. It's yeah, that didn't work. I think it's the bottom that's or something.
On top as well, like for that. You see that crack all the way across?
Oh yeah.
That's like my nail right here.
It's similar, except your nail doesn't
This
hold.
is gonna be fun to weld after cleaning it up.
But like, there was like, it just like